Hi, Bournemouth fans, and welcome to the latest in the interview series here on Back of the Net. We are so pleased and privileged over the last 9 months to have been able to bring you some great chats with a number of Cherries stars, past and present. And today, this Sunday night, is no different. Now, Bournemouth has always been a club that's been associated with fast, free-flowing football. And as a result of that, we've witnessed plenty of incredible strikes on goal over the years from an array of strikers. And tonight, we have a couple of guests that have lots of experience with hitting the back of the net for both Bournemouth and their respective clubs. But firstly, before we get started, I'd like to bring in Jeff Hayward. Jeff, how are you, sir? You all right?
Yeah, very good, Sam. Thank you.
So the two guests we have on tonight, well, you know, we could have done with them in a few of our matches this season so far, Jeff. But anyway, they were both born in the South. They're both 5'9", and they've both played for Cherries in the noughties and the 2010s. Our first guest, it's a player who netted 49 goals in 65 matches for Crawley Town, which was a ridiculous record. He had a loan spell at the Cherries in 2008 before completing a permanent switch in 2012, and his goals were a crucial part of AFC Bournemouth reaching the championship. It is the one and only Matt TUBBS. Matt, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. Really pleased to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And alongside him is a player that has come through the youth at AFCB after a brief spell at Saints. He joined the Cherries first team set up in 2006, and his goal scoring form, it got better as time went on. I remember in November 2010, I think it was, he scored a hat-trick for Bournemouth in consecutive home wins, something that pretty much created a path for him to play championship football, where he joined Millwall. He returned in 2012 and was alongside the likes of Franno, Ritchie, Grabban and Fraser up the leagues, and also an international for Northern Ireland too. He's currently plying his trade at Weymouth, so I'm really chuffed to introduce as well Josh McQuoid. Josh, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, guys. Good.
Really pleased to have you on. Josh, firstly, congratulations. You've had a busy old week by the sounds of it.
Yeah, had my second daughter, so it's been a bit hands-on at the minute, but yeah, good to get a little break and do this.
Excellent. And it's been a challenging year for most of us, I've got to say. Matt, how have you been coping, and what have you been up to recently?
Yeah, it's not really affected me too much, really, because I'm teaching at Brooklands College at the moment, so obviously education just stays as normal. So the only difference that is we have at the college is we do a remote Monday. So where we work from home, we have a portal called Teams, which I'm sure everyone's aware of now. And we deliver lessons online on a Monday, and then we go in. So our working week then starts from Tuesday to Friday. So not too much has changed from my point of view.
Yeah, no, excellent to hear you're both well and still involved in sport and football and all that. Josh, expecting big things of Weymouth, so you better get back out there and make sure they get promotion into the league, haven't you?
Yeah, it's good. We obviously done well last season to go up. Obviously, our manager at the time was Mark Morison, as you all know well. So, but he left, and then Brian Stock come in, another Cherries legend. So, no, it's been an interesting season so far. We had a COVID scare and all that sort of thing, so it's been a bit stop-start for us. But I think the main aim is to stay in that league. We got a young team, but yeah, no, I'm enjoying it down there. It's good.
So let's roll back the years then, guys. Before we get on to your Cherries exploits, what are your first footballing memories? Matt, do you want to pick that one up first?
Yeah, it's a tough question. Like growing up, I used to quite like Sheffield Wednesday growing up, and it's a really random football outfit. I'm sure you guys will know. I'm not too sure Josh will know, but David Hurst.
Yeah, I know.
So I remember watching him in a FA Cup final, and I kind of had this love for him because I think he scored one of the goals, and so I think that was one of my sort of first memories of football. And like I said, it was ages ago. That was probably one of my first sort of real memories of the game. So, but yeah, that's kind of stuck with me a little bit as a kind of ongoing joke with one of my mates now, because he's not really a household name and never was, but he kind of like just scored the goal, and that's kind of where it went from, really.
Did you model your game on him, Matt?
Absolutely not. No, no. I think I probably only saw him once and saw him score that goal, and then that was it. And then I didn't model my game on him or anyone else really. So yeah, but he has a bit of an ongoing joke with my mates because they're like, "Oh, you used to like this guy. Like no one knows him." So, but yeah, kind of like it was just him really, and Sheffield Wednesday.
And Josh, were you always a striker, or as a kid, was that always something you wanted to be, or was it just a position you fell into? How did it come about?
Yeah, well, I used to play for a team local to me called Sway Juniors, and my dad helped out with the coaching and stuff. So I was always either on the wing or central midfield. And then when I went to Southampton, I think it was under 12s, I was a right back. So I actually come to Bournemouth as a right back. And then I lasted about a month at right back, and then they saw I was pretty quick and then stuck me on the wing.
Fantastic. Josh, am I right in thinking at Sway you were playing with Sam Vokes as well?
Yeah, we grew up all through school, all age groups, and then as we got on to I obviously went to Saints, and then he carried on at Sway for a bit, and then he come along to Bournemouth when I was there, and then we just went through the ranks together and played in the same school team. So yeah, I'm still close to him today. He's one of my best mates, and so we've got a good friendship.
Matt, and you started at Bournemouth as a schoolboy, is that right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so I went all through the School of Excellence. So I think I was from the age of 6 to, I think I was either 15 or 16. I was training with the first team. And this is when Sean O'Driscoll was manager. And then obviously the financial implications and all that was going on. I kind of got released from there. And then I did what every typical 16-year-old boy done then. So I wrote off loads of letters to loads of pro clubs. I got a few come back to me saying, yeah, you can have a trial, and no, you can't have a trial with fully loaded. So one of the clubs that come back to me were Bolton. So I went up there for a trial. We played Liverpool I went up there Thursday. We played Liverpool on the Saturday, and I scored 2 on my trial. So they asked me to stay up for the rest of that week and then to play Newcastle away. So I played Newcastle away, had done well, and then come home, and then they wanted me to go up there the year after. So following that, so after the summer, to go up there and start my academy process up there. So it's quite a strange one, because I kind of got released by a Division 2 club at the time, and then I signed for a team that just got into the Premiership, in the academy.
That's
so
ridiculous.
It's kind of a bit of a strange one. And obviously, I remember watching the playoff final that Bolton were in, and they obviously won the game.
Yeah.
And then obviously they go into the Premiership. So I've gone from getting released to starting a journey as such up north.
So that must have been a huge journey for you, though. I mean, Bolton from Bournemouth, it must have felt like another country as a 16-year-old.
It was, yeah. I mean, I was really lucky in the sense that I've got really supportive parents anyway, but they wanted me to go, and it kind of made a man of me really, because we had curfews, we had to be in by 10 o'clock. We had on Saturday it was 12 o'clock. There was a strict no alcohol policy, so it was kind of really, really strict and regimented. And obviously going through the ages from 16 to 19, as you guys are probably fully aware, you get tempted by different aspects of life. So, but for me, I was taken away from that. So that kind of, like I said, probably made more of a man out of me than what would have happened if I would have stayed here.
So when you were playing the likes of Liverpool and Newcastle, would there be any players that people who are watching this now might recognise, thinking, bloody hell, we played against them?
Not really big hitters, but the 2 for Liverpool, the 2 centre-backs were Zach Whitbread and John Asomabor. I think one of them ended up at MK Dons, and I think Zach Whitbread might have played Liverpool first team a few times. But yeah, probably no one that really, really stands out.
And what was it like at Southampton, Josh? So you went there for a few years, but things didn't quite work out, did they?
Yeah, no, I was on trial for a little bit, and then they signed me, and I think I was only there for a year, but it was like I said, I was playing right back. I wasn't really enjoying my football that much. I was used to playing my friends week in, week out, so it was a bit of a change for me. And then when I come to Bournemouth, there was a real good feel for it. It wasn't like Southampton was obviously an academy, and then Bournemouth was a centre of excellence at the time. So I just really enjoyed it there, settled in well, and then obviously Sam come along, and just made real good friends there, and then we had a good team. We stuck together up until the youth team. So that was a real enjoyable part of my football career, definitely.
Yeah, so tell us about the progress into the first team at Bournemouth then, because we've seen a few players do it, and they've gone on to have really great times at AFC Bournemouth and then beyond. Tell us about your first call up, and who's the person that spoke to you, and did it take you by surprise?
Yeah, well, I've got not the best memory, but I did train with the first team a few times with Sean O'Driscoll, because Joe was really close to him, so Joe Roach, and he thought quite highly of me. So that happened now and again, and that sort of fizzled out a bit. And then Kevin Bond come in, and then I actually got my first pro with him. But even before then, I think, because I class myself as quite lucky, really, because Bournemouth had, obviously not for Bournemouth, it wasn't lucky, but they had money troubles at the time, and that's sort of how a lot of us got our way into the first team, because we didn't have any players. There was literally no players. I think one game, it might have been against Tranmere, I think there might have been 6 youth team players playing, maybe 5 or 6 who were actually starting, who some of them don't even play football today. So that's how a lot of us got our sort of chance around that level. So that actually benefited me with the first team. I think a lot of the boys there now, they're obviously in the Championship, they were in the Premiership. It's going to be a lot harder to break through now, definitely.
What about you, Matt? Because things in Bolton, I mean, you ended up coming back to Bournemouth, didn't you, in 2003, was it? What happened there?
So was that the loan deal, or was that...
I think it was. You came back on loan first of all, didn't you?
Yeah, so I went to Bolton, then obviously did the academy up there and didn't get a pro contract up there. So then I come back down. So then I was, right, okay, I need to get a job. I need to play lower league football and try and work my way back up again. So I went to Dorchester. I did a month at Dorchester. It didn't really work out at Dorchester. So then Salisbury were interested. So I ended up signing for Salisbury, and then done relatively well within the first couple of seasons at Salisbury. And then, then Bournemouth, who ironically, again, were the league above. And you don't really... Teams from the league above don't tend to dip into lower league players to get on loan. But, they wanted me for the month. And, I signed on loan for the month in December.
So both clubs, I think there was a bit of financial trouble as well for Salisbury at the time, wasn't there? As I remember reading.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
With his wages, that's why I think it was.
Hey, don't hate. Yeah, so I think, like I said, I think both clubs in the past have obviously got had issues financially. But fortunately, they both seem to be settled now, which is good.
And what was your non-league experience like at Salisbury? Because obviously, there was some mooted potential move to Leicester, wasn't there? And also, you scored an FA Cup goal on TV. What was the whole experience like at Salisbury?
Yeah, it was good. And then Leicester decided to pick some guy called Vardy instead. I don't know what he ended up doing.
No idea.
No, so yeah, I think the whole Leicester move where it was on the cards, because I was doing quite well for Salisbury and scoring. Leicester showing a bit of interest, but Salisbury then said, I'm not going anywhere. And I was just like, really? Like, there's an opportunity for myself to progress, but it didn't happen. And then the next day, they signed Vardy from Fleetwood. So I was like, okay, so that's not happening. But I loved my time at Salisbury. Absolutely loved it. I've always sort of said I wanted to go back there, but that never happened. But I loved it. And I mean, Josh will know as well, and he'll back me up. When you're playing in a team and you're scoring regularly and you're winning regularly, you love it. Everything just marries up and matches it. Your teammates are brilliant. You're scoring goals. Your life away from football is good. So the whole Salisbury journey for me was amazing, and something that I hold close to my heart, and glad I did, because it kind of catapulted me to where I wanted to be.
So I mean, I've always wondered how you actually end up hearing about these clubs that want to come in for you. Is it through the manager of your club? Is it through an agent? Is it through your family? How do you actually hear about certain clubs being interested? And when you heard that, I mean, your ears must have pricked up, surely.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think it was in the papers, and then the manager at the time sort of pulled me into his office and said, "Look, this is the situation, but we obviously don't want you to go." And I was kind of half pushing it because it would have been a great opportunity for me. But yeah, it's just something that never materialised and didn't end up happening. But you know, like I said, it was a shame for me because I think that would have been a great opportunity for me at the time. But again, it's like I said, Josh would know as well. It's, you know, football's such a cutthroat business. You know, as soon as someone turns their nose up for a minute, you know, you're off, and you know the club's looking for other players. So,
Josh, what do you remember about playing for Bournemouth at those times? I mean, it was pretty turbulent, as you alluded to. You know, the financial troubles, managers in and out of the club. What was it like?
Yeah, it was tough. I was just trying to sort of make a name in the game. So for me, it didn't affect me too much. Money wasn't important to me there. I was still a young lad. So seeing the other players sort of not get paid and stuff like this, it was all sort of new to me. So now I've obviously been around and seen other things at the club. Now you look back at it and realise, you know, yeah, how actually tough it was and how well they've actually done to survive. So, but no, we had a great team spirit, even though like these sort of things were happening, and we had some great characters in the team and who helped me come through that sort of period and helped me sort of get into the first team. And then I started playing a lot more, got my chance, and then yeah, the rest is history.
Who would you say were your biggest influences at the club during that time?
There's some bad influences and some good influences, but
pick whichever you like.
People like Sean Cooper, he was good to me. Warren Cummins, he was always he's a big character in the dressing room, and as soon as people like him sort of take to you, then you sort of feel more involved, and I think that helps a lot, definitely. So yeah, maybe not so much off the pitch, but in and around the training, he definitely made me feel part of it.
It seemed like when you had the -17 meet up at the Odeon and a few drinks, back at the club, looked like a decent knees up. And Warren Cummings was, one of those players that were there. What was it like watching that video? It's like a 90-minute documentary, wasn't it, on that season? Did it? I mean, that must have brought back some memories for you. Yeah,
it's good. I was sort of in and around it then, not massively involved, but involved enough. But yeah, just seeing what a great achievement that was, and now you look back at it, you almost can't believe it. It got done, but yeah, they all went out afterwards. But Mark Mosley at the time was my manager, so I couldn't go on the bender afterwards because we had a game on Tuesday or whatever. So I had to slip off home, unfortunately. So I didn't see all that part of it.
And Matt, how did it come about that you came back to the club? Because it was that November 2008, wasn't it, when you came back to Bournemouth?
Yeah, so I come again. I think it was that season, the -17 season.
It was, yeah.
Jimmy Quinn was manager, and I remember playing, and I was doing okay. I was sort of in and out of the team, and I was really enjoying it because it was a chance to play up a level and play for my hometown club as such. And so I signed for a month. So my deal was technically up at midnight on New Year's Eve to New Year's Day. So it was on the midnight. So and on the 31st, after we had training with Jimmy Quinn and Tyndall, and then obviously we trained, and then straight after training, I ended up going to Castle Point just to get a couple of little bits. And then I actually bumped into Jimmy Quinn, and we spoke throughout the week prior to this about sort of extending, going sort of permanent with the contract. So I was like, yeah, I'm over the moon at that. That'd be amazing for me. Yeah. So I spoke to Jimmy at Castle Point randomly, just bumped into him in the car park, and he said, yeah, okay, we want you to sign. The deal's pretty much done. Just come to the game tomorrow as normal, or training or whatever it was as normal, and we'll get you signed on. Perfect. Then obviously go to bed New Year's Eve, wake up to a text from my friend saying, oh, Jimmy Quinn's been sacked. And obviously come the 1st of January, then I'm back to being a Salisbury player. So I'm like this on my phone thinking, all right, who am I actually playing for today? And Salisbury had a game against Oxford away. So then I get a phone call off Nick Holmes, the Salisbury manager, saying, all right, Tubbs, it's Nick. Right, report to Oxford at 1:30. So I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I'm going to be playing for Bournemouth today. Like, how has it gone? So, but yeah, it didn't happen. And that's when obviously Eddie got Jason in as well as a number 2. And again, I didn't hear anything. So I was just like, okay, so I'm back to being a Salisbury player. So I was a little bit disheartened. I wasn't disheartened the fact that I left Bournemouth. I was more disheartened the fact that I wasn't in the know that I was leaving Bournemouth. I kind of got told that I was going to sign, and then I just didn't hear from anyone. So it was really, and then obviously, playing at the Castle for Salisbury. So it's kind of a really, really strange chain of events how that all come about.
Whoa, that's an incredible story.
It's very bizarre, but like I said, that's football. That's just how it goes. Managers come in, players move on, and that's something that won't ever change either. That is, you just got to be thick-skinned with it, take it on the chin, and then bounce back.
And you and Josh, you actually played in the fixture that got us to 0 points that season, as I remember. I think it was a 3-3 draw against Luton in December. Took us from -17 to 0.
Was it because we played a couple? Was it snowing that day, or was that a different game?
I remember it being freezing, absolutely freezing.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was that when was Jimmy Quinn the manager at the time?
Jimmy Quinn was the manager.
Yeah.
I wonder, when you got to 0 points, was there like massive celebrations in the changing room?
I doubt it, to be honest. It is a bit disheartening still, isn't it? Been on 0 points, but yeah, it's not a nice feeling, definitely.
Jimmy, what do you remember of Jimmy Quinn as a manager? Because you had him for slightly longer than Matt did as a manager.
Yeah, well, he took a shine to me, to be fair, so I quite liked him. So I think one game I think it might have been the Luton game, to be honest. He started me centre mid, and I think we had Darren Anderson on the bench. Which was a surprise to a few of the lads. But no, he was a good guy. I got on with him well. It obviously didn't work out great for him then, but like I said, I was a young lad getting in the team, so I was just happy to be playing.
Was it a true story that he brought his dog to training like every so often?
Christmas Day. I remember Christmas Day on then. He was dogs running around on the pitch chasing balls. I remember that.
That must be slightly off-putting as a professional, surely.
What, training Christmas Day? Absolutely.
Well, not that, but the dog, trying to avoid the dog.
I love the connection you both got with England internationals. You and Jamie Vardy, Matt, and you benching Darren Anderton, Josh.
But he was going on to Darren then. He was amazing when he was there, to be fair. He was a big influence. And as we said before, it was the influence. Just seeing him train and the standard he brung to training and games. That was a good experience for myself, definitely.
So it sounded like Jimmy was pretty surprised to be given the boot if he was shopping in Castle Point the day before, Matt.
He probably got the boot because he said he wanted to sign me. So the chairman was like, oh, "No, you're gone. We don't want both of you here, at least. So you both got to go." Yeah, so like I said, that's football. It happens. Managers get sacked, players move on. Just something that won't ever change from the game, unfortunately.
So you ended up joining Crawley Town for 55,000, and you won from a promotion from the non-league with them the following year. But I mean, that is the club where you score goals almost for fun. It seems they must have a fond place in your heart, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they did throughout the summer, they were showing clips of that game because we ended up getting like the record points in the season as well. And so I was watching the game back, and I don't know how I'd done it, to be honest. I couldn't trap a bag of sand. The ball was bouncing off me and everything. And I'm thinking, how have I scored 40 odd goals in a season now? But I was just lucky. We had such a good group that year. And again, Josh would say, when you have a good group of players and you're all best mates, you all want to fight for each other. And games that you'd probably lose 3-2, you'd get a draw. Games that you're drawing 2-2, you'd go get a last minute winner because the group camaraderie goes such a long way in football. And that's what we had in Salisbury. And that's what, we had that Salisbury as well, but that's what we had at Crawley. And that's why we went back to back. So we won the conference. And then the year after, they got promoted straight back to, they got straight to League One after that as well. So
there's a great clip on YouTube, Matt, of you scoring a Panenka penalty. Is that something you did as a routine thing for Crawley?
I wouldn't say it was a routine. I'd pick my moments. So it's very ballsy to do it, but I'd find that if you did it in the last minute of a game and you were drawing, goalkeeper's never going to think that you're going to Panenka it. So goalkeepers are always going to dive. And I remember it was Peterborough, and Alex Ferguson's son was manager at the time, and it was the 94th minute, and we had a penalty. And I had a penalty the game before that, and I went to the keeper's right. So, and our keeper at the time said they watch clips. So I'm thinking to myself, right, their keeper probably knows where, or thinks he knows where I'm going to go. It's the 94th minute. There's no way that he's going to think I'm going to dink it. So anyway, I ran up and dinked it, and then Ferguson's face afterwards, he wanted to rip my throat out. I could just see him so angry in the manner that it sort of happened. Like I said, Peterborough were a massive club at the time in that division. So for Crawley and me to dink a penalty is a bit like rubbing salt in the wounds, really.
So is it fair to say that you were quite surprised when you saw Ademola Lookman's penalty for Fulham against West Ham in the latter stages where they're 1-0 down, could have scrapped a draw, and then he did that?
Yeah. The thing is, like, we were flying high at the time, so but Fulham was struggling. Like, just put your foot through it, just hit the back of the net. Like, what Scott Parker must have been thinking, what the hell is this about? Like I said, if you're going to do it, you've got to hit the target at least.
Are you the penalty taker for Weymouth, Josh?
Yeah, last season I think I scored 6 penalties. I missed 2, but I got a tap in off one of them, so I class it as missed 1. This season I was a lad that has actually taken 2 penalties. I didn't play one game. I was off ill, and then so I let him have the next one. But he's now gone to Chesterfield, so I'm back on him. Yeah,
I love it.
I get a goal these days, so I've got to jump on him.
Josh, have you ever played in a match before and it's gone to penalties and the opposition have skied 3 over the bar? Because that's what happened, obviously, against Dartford. When I saw that, I couldn't believe it. Have you ever been involved in a penalty shootout quite like that before?
No, I haven't been involved in too many penalty shootouts, but I come off, because I had a hamstring problem in the game before, but I actually then started that game, but come off about 60 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
60 or 70 minutes. So I was just watching, so it's horrible watching, but see the first one go over the bar thinking, right, this is our chance, then the next one, and the next one, you leave it, you think they've just fluffed their lines massively, but obviously we were buzzing, and to watch that, it was just unbelievable. I think also they had some penalty takers one year, that year, so I think their main penalty taker scored about, I think, 11 out of 11, and he skied it over the bar, so pressure obviously done things to him.
It's bizarre because when you see 2 players that precede you both skying over the bar, you're surely thinking, right, I've got to get my body over the ball, got to just drill it hard and low. And to see it happen the 3rd time, I mean, credit to Weymouth, they completely did deserve it anyway. And it was just a shame that time that the fans weren't there to celebrate with you, because that would have been such a great atmosphere at the Bob Lucas, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know. That's the only disappointing thing, that obviously there was no fans, and that was Mark's last game for us as well. So it would have been nice for him sort of to have a nice send off, because he's obviously done a lot for Weymouth. But yeah, we're just pleased we got up. But no, it would have been better with fans, definitely.
So Matt, you left to go back to Bournemouth in January 2012. It was a fee of £800,000 when Lee Bradbury signed you, and at that point in time, you were joint top scorer. At the time, Steve Evans is quoted as saying that he shed a tear when you left. He sounds like quite a sound guy, actually, because he gracefully let Fletch come back to Bournemouth when Eddie gave him the call. Tell us a little bit more about that move and how that happened.
Yeah, so we were playing in the 4th round of the FA Cup at Hull. And again, for a team like Crawley, it was a massive getting into the 4th round. And the year before, we got into the 5th round, obviously the Old Trafford experience. We got into the 4th round, and I kind of already done. Well, I say kind of. I already done my deal with Bournemouth. So knowing that this was going to be my last game, so we were sat in a hotel up in Hull, and sort of I sat down, had a bit of food with Steve Evans, and he was sort of saying, like, I want you to stay, and I was like, I want to go. Like, it's my hometown club's come in for me. you know, it was a 3.5 year deal on the table. And I was just like, that's just something that I can't really say no to. And he was trying to put up all the stops to try and make me stay. But I was like, look, I've made my mind up. I'm done now. I want to go. So in my head, I'm thinking, right, I've got 90 minutes of football to play now as a little send off to say, you know, thanks for everything, and try and, obviously we didn't think we were going to win going up to Hull. But anyway, we went up there. I scored. We won 1-0. So then coming home, it's like all the emotions are going through your head. Like, you've got such a good group. Everyone's drinking on the coach on the way home. Everyone's having a bit of a party. The next day, they were booked to go to Portugal for a few days. So I'm thinking now, is it worth it? Is the grass going to be greener on the other side? I'm thinking, shall I, shan't I? But then I kind of sobered up in the morning. I was like, no, I'm going. I've got to go. So then Steve Evans was like, okay, right, what we'll do now is we'll all jump on the coach now. We'll go straight to Gatwick, and then you think about it over in Portugal. And I was like, absolutely not, because as soon as that happens, they'll look elsewhere. I was like, Steve, I was like, I need to go and get this deal done now. And he was just like, no, come on, we'll go, we'll have a drink over there, we'll try and get this, you know, we'll get it sorted when you get back. And I'm thinking to myself, I know exactly what you're doing. You want me to go to Portugal, so they look for someone else, and the deal's off. So I'm thinking, absolutely no chance. So then I jumped on the train, went obviously straight back to Bournemouth, and then I think I signed for Bournemouth the day after, I think. So, but yeah, Steve Evans, he's a if you get him on a one-on-one or having a coffee with him or a nice chat with him, he's the nicest guy in the world. Stick him in a change room at half time, Jesus Christ, it's like the devil with a headache. It's absolutely carnage.
What about signing for that fee, Matt? Because that was quite a lot of money for the club at the time, and a lot of pressure on you, I'd have thought. I mean, did it affect you? Did you feel under pressure when you signed for that fee?
I suppose I did, yeah. But the thing is, with transfer fees, and what, you know, a lot of people kind of don't really think about is it's not the player's issue. The player doesn't say, oh, I want to go for X amount. This is all agents and clubs talking about it. So players have nothing to do with the fee whatsoever. So that is strictly between, obviously, the two clubs and the agents involved. So the players don't have anything to do with that. Went to Bournemouth again. Jimmy Quinn got sacked. Eddie Howe takes over. I leave again. So now, obviously, they're putting this transfer fee on me. I'm coming back again for a third time. All my friends are obviously at the age where they're, you know, Bournemouth are kind of on the up, and, you know, everyone's sort of supporting them. So, yeah, I suppose there was a little bit of pressure going into it. Thinking, obviously, the transfer fee, been there a couple of times. All my mates are now on board and want to watch it. So, yeah, I suppose there was a little bit of pressure in that sense. But try not to let that faze me at all. Just try and you know, the deal was done. 3.5 years. I just need to concentrate on working hard and staying fit, and, you know, hopefully carrying on where I left off from Crawley.
So just before that, Josh, I mean, you were part of the squad that won promotion under Eddie Howe from League Two. What do you remember on that experience? Because, yeah, your first goal was in a 4-0 win against Port Vale in that promotion-winning season. Must have been nice to get your first goal for the first team, eh?
Yeah, that's a funny story, actually, the first goal, because it afterwards we were laughing because Jason and Eddie come up to me and said, "Did you touch that?" I said, "Yeah, I touched it onto someone else." It was actually the defender that headed it in, so I flicked it onto him. It's come off him, and I've peeled away. So, yeah, I don't class that as my first goal, really, but no, it was good. That season was obviously a good season. Didn't play loads, but just to be in and around it was good. Yeah,
and you were basically Brett Pitman's replacement. I mean, did you feel pressure at that?
No, not really. I think a lot of people sort of were making comparisons at the time, and I think Eddie come out and just said, "Listen, don't compare them. I'm still young." Bretty obviously had an amazing career, and he kicked on much earlier than I did, and he was obviously a natural goal scorer. I wasn't I didn't base my game really around that. And then I got my chance up front. I think it was Tranmere away. I think it was scored there, and then sort of got a little run in the team and started scoring some goals. But I still wouldn't class myself at that time as a natural goal scorer. I just sort of tried to work. I was tried to work hard and do as well as I could for the team. And Eddie at the time was really good for me because he was, I think, as everyone's seen, he likes working with young players and likes progressing them. So that was a massive step in my career. That little phase was definitely.
How do you think he really helped you, Josh?
He's just got time. He's just got time for you. He's. I think you can see his passion for football, for helping people. He used to stay behind with you after training. Even when I was coming through when I was younger, when he was a coach, he'd stay behind with whoever wanted to stay out and just work on different things with you. So that really helped me because I've never really, I wouldn't take it upon myself necessarily to stay out and do extras for whatever reason, not because I didn't want to work hard. I just didn't do it. And then for him to do that, that was really helpful, definitely.
Well, you scored those, as I say, those 2 hat tricks in consecutive games. Yeah, you're right, Tranmere, and you're also in the league. And then, the move to Millwall came about, and you left, and you went to Millwall. And I mean, I remember watching your first goal for Millwall, and it was against Preston in a 4-0. It was live on Sky, and I remember just seeing you. Like, this was like such a typical Josh McQuoid goal at the time because the goals that you scored towards the end of your time with us were fantastic, and you picked up the ball from almost the halfway line and you jinked around a couple of players and rifled it in the top left-hand corner from about 25 yards. Bloody hell, it was a cracking goal. But how else did it go at Millwall? Because after that your chances seemed to be limited, and by all accounts it wasn't the best of times for you.
Yeah, it was a bit. It was, looking back on it now, obviously everyone has regrets and stuff, but I wish I never left Bournemouth at the time. It was an opportunity for me to go, and I took it. And I obviously seen playing in the Championship and stuff like that. I went there, done really well. I think it was the first 4 or 5 games. Got man of the match my first game. I think it was against Crystal Palace or something like that. And then after that, had an ankle injury. Was out for a good couple of months, and then ever since then, coming back into the team, I couldn't really nail down a place. And then for me, it was the first time I was ever away from home. I was 20, 21. So just little things like this, it didn't really go too well for me. And then Eddie obviously took me to Burnley on loan. So met up with him again and had a good little spell there. Didn't necessarily play my best football, but enjoyed my time under him again. And then obviously got the chance to come back to Bournemouth eventually, and then linked up with Eddie again. So I think kept going back, but it was good.
I think injuries are they're a part of the game, a bit like managers, Matt, but they can be such a really damaging part to your career, particularly if you're a striker. And you had your fair share of injuries too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, like you said, if you get injured at the wrong time, then inevitably someone's going to take your spot, and it's how well they do. But yeah, for me, I got obviously signed for Bournemouth. Then within 2 or 3 months of signing, I then had to go under the knife and have a double hernia operation. So that kind of put me out to the season. And then obviously Brad has got sacked in the meantime, and then Paul Groves and Brooks took over. And I kind of had a feeling I wasn't really in their plans, not due to the injury, just in general. Like I said, new managers coming in. So I had the injury that technically, it was a bad time to have the injury for me.
You actually scored some pretty important goals though under Groves and Brooks. I mean, they didn't win a huge number of points, but you scored a few goals that actually earned us some points. Yeah,
I mean, that's all you try and do. You just try and, because I'm a firm believer is you never know who's watching. And again, if I'm thinking to myself, right, these 2 guys aren't really having me, I'm not really going to feature, I need to try and impress potentially someone else who could be watching. So, and obviously do myself proud and do the club proud whilst I'm playing for them. So, but yeah, a funny story about Brooks and Groves. We had pre-season, so I had the hernia operation. Then I was in all summer. Then I had, so we had pre-season, And I actually done really well pre-season. I think I ended up scoring sort of 7 or 8, maybe even 9 goals in pre-season. So, and I was in the shape on the Friday, ready for the first game of the season. And then, so I'm thinking, right, perfect. So I'm starting first game of the season, amazing. Right, going to kickstart now. Hernia is done. I feel strong. I feel fit. I had a really good pre-season. I'm gonna hit the ground running. So then, Lee Barnard signs on the Friday. So I'm thinking, right, okay, so he signed a striker. Okay, so I'm still in the shape. That's not an issue. So, I'll be starting. Get to the game. Groves pulls me in his office. Yeah, we're just going to rest you today. Rest me? It's first game of the season. What are you resting me for? I've had a great pre-season. Oh yeah, we're gonna play Barney. We're just going to rest you. Come on, you're arresting me. It's the first game of the season. I feel fit as a fiddle. Been in all summer because I'm just recovering from an operation. And now you're arresting me. He's like, yeah. Okay, cheers. So, yeah, and then, the rest is history, as they say, with what happened to him.
Yeah, it is. And there was the fans got a bit tense, and I think we showed our emotions quite a bit. And Eddie Mitchell had his moments outside the stadium with fans, and it's all on YouTube where you can watch it. And one fan says, why don't you get Eddie Howe back? And at the time, it was just almost a pie-in-the-sky suggestion from a fan. We didn't actually think it would happen, but then it did. So as a player, how did you feel when you heard his name mentioned and the fact that he was coming back after all?
I was thinking, he got the job last time and he got rid of me. So I was thinking, this could be interesting. No, I actually, I wanted him to come back because I knew that he'd catapulted the club into a direction that the club, it wasn't sinking, but it was... What were we, 4th from bottom or in the relegation zone at the time? So the club needed a lift, and there was only one man that could do that, and that obviously was Eddie. And then, like we've just said, from then it is literally the club's just gone from strength to strength. Getting promotion in that season with him taking over. That catapulted his career as well as a few others that have played underneath him as well.
Yeah, I seem to remember that we were 20th in the table, and we had a home match against Leyton Orient, and Jason and Eddie were unveiled on the pitch. So they weren't actually in charge, but we won 2-0. But when they did take charge, we went on a ridiculous run. At what point did you think, we could actually get promoted?
I think the belief was there throughout, because I think they come in and they were really sort of authoritative of what they wanted, and it was going to be their way or it was going to be no way. And I think if you have a manager like that who wants to push his hometown club, where he's already got legendary status, if he wants to push that club into whatever direction it's going to go that way. Especially with the backing that they had, like you said, from Max and a few others, it was always going to go up. He had a philosophy which suited the players that he was bringing in. And like I said, we ended up, getting a promotion out of the back of it, which was amazing.
Did you feel that too, Josh?
Yeah, he definitely brought a different vibe. Like around the dressing room, I think we went, as you said before, we went on a good run as soon as he come in, and he just lifted the place, and that's definitely what we needed at the time. Brought in good players, and then I think was that the season, Tubbsy, that we just finished second? We were first. Was it? What was the last game of the season?
Tranmere.
Tranmere, yeah. Because I remember we were stood in the change rooms with blow up trophies, champions banners, and everything. So that was the only disappointment that season. But he even just said then, "Listen, you've earned promotion. Don't worry. Like you've earned it. Just enjoy yourself." So. No, he definitely changed it around then, and then he just took the club to another level. And then, almost for me, I think I stayed another year or two. I obviously went out on loan, but you could just then the club, the level just passed me by. He just kicked on. The players he got on kicked on. The football kicked on, and just he's done amazing ever since. And I think he'll be a legend at Bournemouth forever.
I remember we drew that match at Tranmere 0-0. We needed to win it, so we were relying on Doncaster Rovers to drop points. And wasn't it the fact that they, the team that Doncaster were playing had a penalty in the last minute? And I heard this on the radio, and I tweeted, champions, because I just thought, I mean, they're going to score it, and then they went down the other end and scored it, and then I got like loads of notifications saying you might want to recheck that. It's like what? I couldn't honestly believe that. The ultimate deflation, eh, Jeff?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was at the Carlisle game, I think the week before, when we got promotion, and it was just such a fantastic feeling. I don't think anybody at the start of that season really honestly thought we were going to go up. What a journey to go from the bottom of the league, or near the bottom of the league, to the top in the space of 30 odd games. It's just a fantastic performance, and yeah, I mean, it must be difficult when you have that sort of season to then think I could stick around and play in the Championship, or how does a manager let you go? Because or how do you decide to move on? It must have been quite a difficult time, wasn't it, for you both?
Yeah, for me it was sort of, I loved the club, I loved playing under Eddie, but it was an awkward one for him as well, because I think we got on really well. I was at Burnley with him as well, so it was one of them. I had an injury as well in pre-season, so then I come back from that and I was never really going to get back in the team. I think I played one game in the Championship for Bournemouth, and then I was just going on loan and stuff like that. And loan spells are good if you need to play, but you're not really settled. So I spent that next 2 years almost just sort of in and out of football, not doing that well, and then coming back to Bournemouth, just been in the background a little bit. So that's never good. You just need, I think, when you're at a club, you need to be settled, you need to be playing, and that never really happened for me. But and then when I eventually left, I went to Luton in the end, yeah. But to see them kick on and do what they did was amazing.
Whilst we're talking loans, though, Josh, I mean, someone on the chat tonight is bound to correct me, but I think I'm right in saying that you're the only person that we've chatted to on this podcast. We've chatted to all the greats, Harry Redknapp, Matt Holland. We've had loads of them. You're the only person that we've interviewed that scored at Wembley Stadium. That, of course, happened when you were on loan at Peterborough. For a lad that dreamt of becoming a professional, surely that is the ultimate. What the hell did that feel like? It must have been amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was obviously a big highlight in that loan spell. So I think one of my first games actually was the semi-final in the Johnson's Paint, because that gets played in like November or before Christmas, and then the final's not till a while later, I don't think. So I think one of my first games was the semis against Swindon or something like that, but we ended up getting Chesterfield in the final, and I think I can't actually remember when the goal was scored, but I think it was early on in the game, and it's sort of like it's just such a rush, and obviously my family were there and stuff, and then it's just great emotions, and then just to see my dad in the crowd, I think he was tearing up and stuff. So that's like you said, that's always what you dream of, that sort of thing. So no, that was definitely one of the highlights in my career, definitely.
What would be your highlight, Matt, and the one thing that Josh McQuoid would never have done?
Tough question. I'd say a highlight for me was obviously playing for your hometown club, the team you supported as a boy. I think that's a given. But whilst I was at Salisbury, I represented my country at England C level. So we played Northern Ireland and Finland. So representing the country, although it was England C, it was still the same build-up, national anthems. You're playing, Finland, you're playing Ireland. I think that was amazing for me at the time.
Was Josh McQuoid playing for Ireland at the time? Because he had a few international caps, didn't he?
No, he's well older than me. I'm a bit younger than him, so yeah.
Josh was full international. I was with the dog and duck in the non-league stuff. So.
One of the things that would seem to be prevalent, Matt, was that you missed out on the match day squad just once during Cherries' promotion from League One, but you only started 9 matches in all competitions. I mean, that must have been pretty frustrating, which you've alluded to somewhat. I mean, one of the labels that Bournemouth fans have sometimes if you're going to put a negative on Eddie Howe, obviously he's got so many positives, for what he's done. Some say he's a little bit stubborn. Whilst it's maybe difficult to justify that in a promotion season when you look back, did you feel as though there was pretty much nothing you could have done to have changed his mind sort of team-wise that season?
I don't think so, because I think Eddie had a system and he wasn't going away from that system. It was 4-4-1-1. That's how he wanted to play. that's not necessarily my strongest system. Like I'd admit that to play that lone striker, you've got to be you just not got to be me. So he obviously, I think he had Grabs up top as a 9 as such, with Bretty in behind, and them two just work so well together. And obviously, like I said, they scored tons of goals, which obviously got them promotion. So for me as a fan, I'm looking at it thinking, oh, amazing, like Bournemouth on the up. But from a player's head, I was thinking, yeah, I want to play, but I understand that these two guys, these three or four that are in and out of the team, they're doing really well. And if that was me doing really well in a team, why would I want to come out for someone on the bench to come in and take my place? So I think that come from me being a little bit more of a mature head than a 16, 17, 18-year-old who's then thinking, right, I want to play. Why am I not playing? So for me, I have a little bit more of a mature head-on perspective of it. I think I kind of understood a little bit better.
I think from a fan's perspective, we always felt a deeper affinity with the local players. So you, Matt, and you, Josh, were both really, really liked by the fans, loved almost. And I don't think we felt you were given a fair crack of it, Matt. But what's it like being a local player when you've got all these kind of mercenary players brought into the side? Do they care as much as you, or does that not matter?
What, like Frank Demouge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose to a degree, because their heart's not not in it. It's just a football club to them. It's just a job to them. They're getting paid relatively good money just to fill a team sheet, just to come training. So for me, like you said, as a kid growing up, being involved with Bournemouth and a fan of Bournemouth, to see them come in, and it's a little bit like, yeah, it was a little bit frustrating to the point where do you really care? Don't you care? But yeah, and I think Josh will back me up by saying that as well. Throughout his career, he's probably seen a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
So as footballers, you spent significant amounts of time on loan to other clubs. What's the protocol? I mean, like, whereabouts do you live for starters? Who pays the wages? Because these are the sort of questions that I've never really known the answer to. Josh, you might be able to tell us a bit more.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've been on a few loans, but usually it's just clubs get in contact with each other, say, is this player available? And then the manager will say yes or no, ask the player. And then it's up to you. You can obviously refuse it, but for me at the time when I was going on loan, I needed to go play games. So then usually you just go and stay in a hotel.
Right.
Yeah, so I've been in hotels for 3-4 months at a time, which is another thing which is tough. People don't realise you're away from your family. You're just in a hotel room. Not much to do. You can't go wandering the town all day, can you? So you sat in your room for a lot of the time. So, but it's, as say, a young player, or if you need games, I think it's a good thing to do. But yeah, it is tough. It varies sometimes, but usually the club you're going to, they pay either all of it or a part of it, so it works out.
Yeah, I see. I mean, I can imagine in this climate, what we're in now, I mean, being a lone player must be even worse, not being able to leave your hotel or whatever. You literally just have to stay in your room, and then you're training, and then you're coming back. It's not like you can go back and see your friends and family. You just got to stay in the same place all the time. That must be really difficult right now.
Yeah, especially with hotels potentially locked down as well. Like where are they going to live? What are they? How are they going to? What are they going to do? Are they going to have to travel everywhere?
Sometimes some clubs have like a flat or a house where a few of the loan boys will be in. I think when I was at Torquay, I went on loan there for a little bit, and there was a house there with about 7 or 8 rooms, and it was absolute free for all. I refused to go in it actually, so they had to put me in a hotel. But hotel was even worse. It was like Faulty Towers. That was it.
Fantastic. So, how do you both look back on your time with the Cherries, Matt? What do you feel about it all?
I loved it. Like I said, it was an opportunity for me to. Which time are we talking about? First, second, or third?
All of it, the entire time, really.
No, it was amazing. Yeah, all growing up, I I still speak to a couple of people even growing up from the age of like 6 in the academy, growing up to sort of 16, Wayne Crutcher, Dimitri Brinius, those guys. Obviously Steve Moore, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I loved it. I love my time. To say that I played for my team that I supported as a boy, made some great friends along the way, got promotion from League One to the Championship. It's been a club close to my heart, but on the flip side of that, I kind of got let go 3 times as well. So it's kind of like bittersweet. But like I said, I still support Bournemouth now. I wish them obviously all the best. Hope they can bounce back at the first attempt.
This is leading on to a question about what do you think of our tactics recently with playing Solanke alone up front? I mean, doesn't it need a finisher alongside him, like one of you two?
Yeah, Matt more than me. He's the goal machine.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think Sturridge will come good. I think he needs more minutes. I think the more minutes you get into him, I think the better he'll become. And I think if he can find a way of getting into the team, he obviously scored the other night. I think if he can find a way to play more regularly, I think he'll be a big factor for the club to get back. Obviously, Solanke. Everyone, he's good at what he does. But like I said, he potentially needs someone up there with him. And I think Sturridge could be, one to watch the back end of the season, hopefully.
And you played a lot with Big Fletch, Josh. So is that your preferred combination, big man, little man?
Well, we was actually talking about this the other day to a few of my Weymouth teammates, and I was just saying that was one of the big things when I was doing well, playing with Big Fletch, just getting on his flick-ons or whatever. It actually style of play that not necessarily everyone likes playing, but I think that big man, little man, sort of the old school style of playing. TUBBS probably knows similar because he's the little man as well, and just it works well. It works really well sometimes because it just teams can't deal with it, especially when Fletcher's up there. How are you going to deal with him? Just that big unit pinning you and flicking balls on. And obviously he had a great career at doing that sort of thing. And I think many players probably got loads of goals off of his assists, definitely.
Well, just before we go, I mean, Bournemouth, they've obviously had a lot of close links with Weymouth, with loan players and managers, of course, JT, Mark Moseley and Brian Stock, to name but a few. How do you think the club's adapted to the loss of Mark, and what's your analysis on how Brian's done so far?
Losing Mark was massive because even before he brought me in, when he was there, I think he's done a lot. The progression since he was there has been amazing. So it was obviously going to be a big loss, but for him, I think it was one of them opportunities that he almost couldn't turn down to managing the league. It was a gamble, but you just never know how it goes. But it's one of them things he can turn down. But since Brian's come in, he's done a fantastic job. He's took to it really well. The lads have all bought into his style of play and his work ethic. So we knew it was going to be a tough job, even if Mark was still here. So we've just got to knuckle down and try and get a few more points on the board. It's going to be a tough old season, but especially with all COVID and everything like that. But we've just got to slog it out, and hopefully we can stay up and do well.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at some of the names in that division, I mean, there are some historical names there that have been, big clubs for a long time. It's actually crazy when you look at it, the calibre of some of the teams. And as I alluded to, JT was one of the people that have been at Weymouth before. Before we go, we presume you have probably got Jason Tyndall's number on your phones, maybe both of you. Did you offer him any words of advice or encouragement when he got the job? Matt, I'll start with you.
I just sent him a little courtesy text just to say good luck. I hope it all goes all right. And that was about it. And he replied straight away saying thanks, Tubbsy, really appreciate it. So I just thought fly him a little text, wish him all luck, because it's tough. It's tough. He's essentially following a legend of the club, so it will be tough for whoever to go in there. So, but like I said, he's doing okay at the moment. He just, like I said, need to potentially put another goal scorer up with Solanke. But who am I to talk about championship management anyway? So, if he, like I said, if he can get the club back-to-back promotions, then absolutely amazing. But like I said, it was always whoever was going to take the job. It was always going to be a tough job to go. But it looks like the lads are enjoying it. Like I've sort of followed the ball thing on Instagram and Twitter, and training. They all look like they're laughing and enjoying it and getting on really well as a group. So, like I said earlier, that goes a long way in football. If you can get a good team, then good camaraderie, you're looking at promotion.
Hope so. Josh, have you spoke to him?
I haven't actually spoke to him, no, but JT, when I was there, he was obviously a top man. So I can see the lads wanting to work for him. It's a funny one because when you are an assistant, you're maybe a little bit closer to the lads. So it would have been interesting to see the transfer of that. But they all, like Matt said, they all seem to be enjoying it. They're doing well. So yeah, he's taken to it well. But it's always going to be big shoes to fill. But no, he's doing well so far.
Thanks, guys. That's been really hugely entertaining, and thanks so much. I think being a forward is probably the most difficult part of any team because you always got to score, and when the new manager comes in and you don't fit, you're out. So it's not your fault, and defenders don't get that, do they?
No, yeah, we're strikers are in the firing line. At the end of the day, you get judged on goals regardless of what sort of striker you are. So yeah, it's just a case of just hitting the back of the net when you can.
I think in the intro as well, you said Matt was. Did you say Matt was 5'9" and I was 5'9"?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely taller than Matt. I'm 5'9".
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get you back to back and put a table mat on your head and see which way the angle goes. Who knows? Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been really good. It's been really good.
No worries. And Josh, a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate that. All the best.
Cheers. Thank you very much. And Jeff, brilliant to have you on too, of course.
Lovely to relive some old times. Doesn't feel like history, does it? It's 10 years ago, some of that.
No, I know. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, and thank you everyone at home that has been watching, and thank you for everyone that's been putting the comments in and giving us your thoughts during the show. Remember to subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up, because this time next week will be another interview with a former Cherries player. We cannot wait for that. But until then, have a good week and up the Cherries.